What is primary source of information? Original first-hand information or data. A secondary source of information interprets or analyzes primary data. Tertiary source of information are compilations or summaries of secondary source. Which of the following is not a tertiary source? That is research article. Which source type is most useful in depth original research? Primary source. Which of the following is a primary source? Diary or journal? An original research article is a primary source. Patents are classified as primary source. Which of the following is primary legal document? That is the constitution. A scientist lab notebook is considered a primary source. Which of the following is a secondary source? Review article in a journal. A biography of a historical figure is a secondary source. A textbook summarizing past theory is a secondary source. Literature review in scholarly article are considered as a secondary source. Which is not typically a secondary source, that is raw survey responses. Which of the following is a tertiary source? That is Encyclopedia Britannica. Indexing and abstracting are considered as a tertiary source. A library catalog is a tertiary source. A subject bibliography is an example of a tertiary source. Which of these is not a tertiary source? That is conference proceeding. Primary sources are most useful for the original analysis and first-hand investigation. Secondary source helps in interpretation and comparison of primary data. Tertiary sources are ideal for the quick lookup and overview. A research student preparing a literature review should use secondary source. Reference tools like thesaurus are tertiary information sources. A sessions report is a primary source. A critical analysis of a novel is a secondary source. A compiled bibliography on agriculture is a tertiary source. A government white paper is usually a primary source. Scientific experiment data is classified as the primary source. The key difference between primary and secondary source is primary is original, secondary interprets or analysis. Tertiary sources are built on primary and secondary information. Which type of source is most commonly used in encyclopedia? That is tertiary. An editorial written about a research paper is a secondary source. Conference abstract in a proceeding volumes are primary. A PhD dissertation is a primary source. News reports written by reporters present at the event are primary source. A list of journal in chemistry is a tertiary source. A legal commentary on a court decision is a secondary source. An autobiography is an example of the primary source. A secondary source includes critical and commentary. True. Primary sources are written after the event has occurred. False. Tertiary sources are generally not used for in-depth research. True. Review articles are primary sources. False. Documentary film showing real events is a primary source. True. Which source combination is correct? That is thesis primary. Research quoting textbook is using a secondary source. An index leads you to primary or secondary source. Tertiary sources are also known as the reference source or finding tools.